While markets may give us the most efficient price in terms of creating producer and consumer surplus, sometimes those prices that prevail in a market are deemed socially unacceptable. Sometimes there are people who would like that price to be either higher or lower than it really is for some social purpose. Thus, we have entering the market a governmentally imposed price that's referred to as a price control. Price controls are prices that are not created by the market, but are instead imposed upon society. Sometimes these price controls are set so that we have a legal maximum price, where consumers will not be charged a price above a certain level, and producers will not be allowed to charge a price above a certain level. These are referred to as price ceilings. Now, what's curious about a price ceiling is that in order for it to be effective or binding, we have to have the price ceiling put in place below equilibrium. Think about it this way. If you think the price in a market is too high, then you're not going to put a price ceiling above the price you think is too high. Otherwise, people would just ignore it. Instead, you're going to put the price ceiling below the market price. That's the highest price you think should be allowed in the country. Now, an example of a price ceiling would be rent control, where you think people shouldn't have to pay above a certain price for rent, or price controls placed on medical care or pharmaceuticals. A price ceiling is the highest price allowable by law. And if you thought that the market price was too high, you want to put that price ceiling below equilibrium. Now, the problem with the price ceiling is that demand and supply no longer equal each other. At lower prices, the amounts that people are willing and able to buy, the quantity demanded, is greater than the quantity supplied. And this creates what we call a shortage. There are people who want the product who can't get it. Producers are not willing to produce the good because they can't afford to do it. It costs them too much. So they only produce a small amount while a large number of people want the product. This sometimes happens, for example, in concerts. When a concert sells out very quickly, we have a shortage because the price isn't high enough. When a price control is put in place, the price isn't allowed to go above a certain level. The other kind of price control is called a price floor. As the name suggests, a price floor is the lowest price allowable by law. In this case, we see that the price floor would be set above equilibrium. And again, think about it this way. If you don't think that the price in equilibrium is high enough for something, then you would put in a price floor. And you want to put that price floor above the equilibrium price that you think is too low. The traditional example of this would be minimum wage. The minimum wage is a price control because well-meaning politicians think that the wages that individuals are earning in the market are not high enough. So we put in a minimum price, a minimum wage. Now the problem here is that, once again, demand and supply don't equal each other. But in this case, demand is less than supply. So we have what's called a surplus. Think about it in these terms. If you were to be paid, say, $100 an hour to pick up trash, there'd be a lot of people who would want those jobs. However, the trash companies wouldn't be able to afford too many individuals, so there'd be lots of people wanting the job at the high wage. The quantity supplied would be very big, but the quantity demanded, the number of workers the firm wants to hire, would be very small. This creates a surplus because the wage is set above equilibrium and the market can no longer clear.